Got a good one for you today. First 100 with the CZ75 TSO. TSO stands for Tactical Sport Orange, and that should be apparent enough. There is no shortage of orange on this gun. This is the newest version of the TSO. There has been at least one previous version, I think a couple of previous versions, design-wise, where they've tweaked a few things. This one's had a bit of a facelift in 2020, and I'm going to show you the first 100 today, but there's going to be a very deep and full review coming soon on Guns America, so stay tuned for that. Gun comes with 3 20-round magazines if you live where you can get those. They are very distinctive, of course, by the bright orange base plate that matches the grip. That is milled aluminum, as it is on the grip, and also on the mag release button, which is one of the changes for the new version. As I said, these are 20-round, double-stack, 9mm magazines, and they are not compatible with other models of CZ75. So just the TSO and the Checkmate take these magazines. They're not compatible with yours. Even the Shadow 2 takes a different magazine. So that's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. And of course, I said this is a 9mm magazine. That means this is a 9mm pistol. It's also available in .40 Smith & Wesson. There's a lot of reasons why you might want it in that caliber too. Probably talk about that, maybe in the Guns America review. Well, I'm pretty jazzed to get going with this and share the first 100 rounds with you. I have not yet fired it. Let's do that now. Okay, if you're new to my channel or you're new to the first 100 concept, basically it is literally just that. Me putting the first 100, usually a little more than the first 100. Nowadays, with ammo being so hard to find and so expensive when you do find it, it's probably going to be closer to a first 100. I'm starting out with MagTech, Herters, and Federal in various combinations. Right now I've got one magazine of each loaded up. So the first 60 rounds will be a combination of Herters, MagTech, and Federal ammunition. I like to break the gun in with good, solid range stuff that I know how it's going to perform. I may switch over before this is done to hand loads because most people who run this gun run it with their hand loads. Okay, here we go, very first shots. 12 yards down range, I have a steel target. Let's see how it does. Uh-oh. All right. Just getting a feel for my sight picture. It looks like a tight 6 o'clock might be what it likes. Of course, this pistol has this really cool thumb rest on the side. Talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but that is a pretty awesome place to rest your thumb. This is a single action only handgun, has an ambidextrous safety. Man, this thing shoots like a dream. Excellent sight picture. Fantastic sight picture. Big giant blacked out rear sight with horizontal serrations to keep it anti-glare. Pretty small notch and a very narrow front sight blade with, of course, that red fiber optic sight sitting in it. Of course, you've got the big oversized magazine release. That makes it easy to get that mag out of there. And then you've got a generous funnel in the mag well. Makes it easy to get the next mag in. This gun was designed and built for competition shooting, so it has all the qualities that most people want in such a gun. And it's heavy. It is a heavy one. I think it's about 47.5 ounces, even more heavy than the Shadow 2, because it is a little larger than the Shadow 2. At some point, we're going to do a head-to-head, probably sooner rather than later. I'll tell you, whenever I miss, it's all on me. You can bet that. Now, I think I'm learning that my first impression was a little bit wrong. I think it's a pretty much point of aim, point of impact, at least at this range. And as luck would have it, somewhere along the day, my wireless mic failed on me and I didn't realize it. So there I was yakking away with no audio, which really probably is a lucky break for the viewer. But as part of the first 100, I do like to give you my initial organic thoughts of a gun while I'm shooting it for the first time. So you did miss some of that because of the mic going out on me, so I'm going to repeat some of that here. Luckily, I do have a good amount of shooting footage, so we can watch a lot of shooting while I'm telling you what I think. So most people who are familiar with the CZ TSO understand its place in the product lineup. This is a gun designed for competitors, mostly USPSA or IPSC type competitors, maybe some Steel Challenge. That for me would be a good way to use this gun. It's not legal for IDPA because of the weight more than anything, and maybe the height, but I think the height would be okay even with the mag well. It's really the weight that's going to get you in IDPA. So that's who it's built for. And you know, I guess the question that I'm going to try and answer when I do my detailed review, which again will be on Guns America in the near future, will be, does it measure up to that? You know, where does it stand in the field of so many good handguns that are available in that category? So some of the things I was noticing while I was shooting it is that the gun has a nice balance. It is a heavy gun, you know, 47.5 ounces or so. So there's a lot of weight there, but it's a well-distributed weight. You got a lot of weight out front. You've got a long barrel. You've got a heavy front end on the slide, and then you've got that full dust cover. So there really is a lot of weight out front balancing it out. The obvious thing is the trigger. The trigger is probably the most famous component or element of this pistol. It's a single action only. Talked about that. Trigger on this gun is made of polymer, which is a curious fact for me. I'm not sure why they chose polymer over, say, an aluminum or even just a steel trigger, but it is a polymer trigger shoe. Under 2 pounds consistently. Every pull that I've measured, and that was even before firing it, was under 2 pounds. And that is pretty on par with everything I think that most people get with the gun. The trigger does have adjustments for pre-travel and over-travel. It seemed pretty well adjusted to my liking anyway from the factory, so I'm in no hurry to make any changes there. The other thing that makes the gun a good shooter for competition is the sights that it has on it. It has that competition sight picture with the blacked out rear and that red fiber optic front. The sights are pretty low profile. The front sight is actually very small, very thin and low, but it picks up the light nicely, gives you that nice red glowing dot out front. The rear sight is They say fully adjustable, but it's really adjustable for elevation, and you can drift it for windage. I think on a gun in this category at this price range, you really should have a fully adjustable rear sight, with click adjustments for windage, in my opinion. So I think that's a bit of a shortcoming there. The ergonomics are different on this pistol than they are to, say, an SP01 or some of the other CZ75 variants. It's more akin to the Shadow 2, but still a little bit different. So probably the only other thing that it really matches up to very, very closely would be the Checkmate, which is the next level higher. I like the thumb rest. This gas pedal is something I'm not used to using on a handgun, so it was fun to try it out. And I find that for me, for the size of my hands and the way I like my hands positioned in my grip, it's just about in a perfect place. So it kind of works pretty nicely. The bad thing about anything like that is if it's not in the perfect place for you, and it's not adjustable, which it's not, then it's not really an asset. It's more of a liability. So it is easily removed. You can pop out 2 screws and remove it. I know some people have done that. You can also use those 2 screw holes to mount an accessory optic mount that CZ, I believe, provides, as do, I'm sure, a number of aftermarket suppliers. So even if you don't like that gas pedal, those 2 threaded holes in the frame are probably good to have. So in addition to shooting at the steel, I also shot about 30 rounds of hand load ammo at paper target, and that was 13 yards was the distance, and I just shot it offhand. I was surprised that I didn't get a better group than I did, but I was shooting a little faster, and I still hadn't gotten exactly settled on where my sight picture should be, but I still think my group should have been about half as big as what it was. Alright, there it is, the first 100 CZ 75 Tactical Sport Orange. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. And a huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. As always, you guys really do help keep the content coming. Okay, as advertised, I'm going to try some hand loads. This is the Just an Opinion hand load. That load is 124 grain, plated round nose, extreme bullet, sitting on top of tight group. I'm not going to tell you how much because I don't want to be accused of advertising or giving any kind of instruction for reload. But that's the load. It's not too uncommon among the sporting world. That's pretty common stuff. So anyway. The safety is a tight one. It's going to need to break in a little bit. But it seems to be handling the load good. Which is nice. Accuracy seems the same. And that's what this gun was designed to shoot. Again, competitors mostly shooting their hand loads or loads that are specially made that they've purchased someplace. That is the most common use of this gun. And it handles it well. It's so heavy at 47.5 ounces. So much weight out front. This is a solid steel frame and of course a solid steel slide. There's a lot of weight here. Very well balanced, and the muzzle lift is almost non-existent. I wasn't even trying to hold a tight grip, to keep the muzzle down. I wasn't really making any effort to do that, and if I did, I probably could keep it incredibly flat.